Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and we're here with some more Arma 3. We're going to be taking a look at Zeus today because Zeus has officially left the development branch. So I decided I would sit down and run you guys through the sort of steps and tips and tricks of making a basic mission for some actual players. Not just the AI, but actual in-game players had you been playing with a group of friends. Arma 3 Fridays is something that the organization over at Tactical Advance that I sort of head up with some other members. Every single Friday we play, and we run pretty much the closest thing we can to vanilla. Essentially, we used to have the development branch. We no longer need to have that with some other things. I'll have it linked in the description below, a place you guys can go to the forums if you want to sign up and check out how to get involved in Arma 3 Fridays. Come on over, guys. Anyone. Doesn't matter who you are. We just want you to join the forums, get involved, come on over to the TeamSpeak. All of that information will be in that post and the link in the link below, and the link in the description below. Come on over and join us. It's a really great time. But let's go ahead and start off with the basics. We've spawned in here, brand new Zeus, and we're just going to use the AI actually as our friendly players since I didn't think to actually grab anyone to help me do this. But let's go ahead and take a look at the map. We are on Altus. This is actually a custom modified version of Zeus, just so you guys are aware. So you may see things that aren't the full game, but the basic elements are there, and that's really what I wanted to showcase. So anyone who's new to Zeus can get an idea of how to quickly and somewhat efficiently design missions and sort of small objectives for your actual friends to play. And of course, you'll get more creative the more time you spend with Zeus, the more tools you'll start to lead. And I'll show you guys some of the advanced hidden stuff inside of the create. But what we're basically going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to pick a location. And what I like to mess around with is actually the small island over here of Macronisi, I believe is how it's called. It's always a great starting point if you're playing more of a survival type mission where, say, the friendly team has actually been stranded and they now need to push inland to gather resources to further their fight into the island of Altus. Small continent is really what it is. Anyhow, let's go ahead and put down a spawn. So we're going to go over to create here. We're going to go to modules, and then we're going to go ahead and hit respawn. So we can see we have all of our different respawns. We have players, blue 4, civilian, independent. We're going to go ahead and we're going to hit blue 4 players. We left click, we slapped that down there. And essentially now if we had any actual players who joined the game, hopped in, they could spawn there on blue 4. This would become their base. Now, you don't have to just leave them here standing in the open. There's lots of small, cool things you can actually do for them. If we go ahead and we go over to the single units and we go to empty, this is essentially where all of your empty vehicles are going to be found, whether they be enemy, friendly, or civilian, as well as small objects, as well as large objects like buildings and tents, different things to actually build their base. So I'm going to quickly go ahead and hit the fast forward button for this, and you guys get to watch me build a small base for our team to spawn in on. Alright, so just a quick small base that I built for them. You guys can also see that I've decided to make it nighttime as they'll be going in nighttime insertion for their operation, at least in my head. Now, of course, this is just one mission I'm creating. That is the glory of Zeus. You can make infinite missions. Anything that is in Zeus you can create, you can move around, there's so much to it. But basically, in terms of actually changing nighttime, what you guys saw there was you go to modules, and then we have all of our sort of smaller effects editors for Zeus. Things like the environmental effects, we can change weather, time, we can even mess with the post-processing to change colors and things of that nature. So if we go ahead and we slap down one of these, you can see we have east wind, Mediterranean, none. You know, you can just mess around with it, make the colors richer, make everything black and white. You can make it like a 1940s mission if you wanted to. You can do Mediterranean, all these cool things. We're going to go ahead and we're just going to go with none for now, though. We've given our team a little bit of light there. Let's pop them some more light. If we go overhead, we can actually spawn in some chem lights. So we'll put a blue chem light over by their vehicle tent here. That'll go down. Now, of course, all of these crates that I've put down, some of them are for just for show because, you know, why not add a little bit of atmosphere, ambiance? And, you know, you're doing this like D&D, as I've said in the past. So you want to kind of give your guys a nice sense of like this is actually their base. And had I had more time, I'd actually go even further than this, but I don't want to bore you guys to death. Now, this is a vehicle ammo crate. We can actually put a lot of stuff inside these. You can see all these different options. Essentially, if you just want to add a weapon in, you're just going to go ahead and click on it and then add. It takes up a certain amount of space, and then, of course, you're going to want to add magazines, armor, and all those things. So say we want to give our guys some uniforms. We want them to run as guerrillas. We'll say there's a team of 4 here. We'll slap in 4 guerrillas. We'll give them some fighter chest rigs, so 4 of those. And then in terms of rifles, we'll give them... We'll go with the standard MXs. We'll give them some MXs with some ACO reds. So 4 of those, and then we would head on, scroll down the menu here, search for our ammunition type. So we're looking for the 6.5. We actually went too far. Tied in here somewhere. Now, admittedly, this is something that I hope improves over time. Just in general, the menus are very dense. There's a lot of stuff in them. It takes a very long time to actually find things. It's in there somewhere. I'm not going to waste any more time looking for them. But, you know, you, of course, want to give your team ammunition. And that's up to you in terms of how much you give them. You can limit them to maybe 2 mags. You can actually force them into roles. I've done things where the medic was only allowed to carry, was allowed to carry more than 1 med kit. Everybody else was only allowed to carry 1 first aid kit. The medic was allowed to carry like 5. They had an ammunition bearer. He had to carry all the spare mags. Everybody else was only allowed to carry like a very limited number of mags. There's all these things you can do as Zeus, you know, just verbally giving commands to the team to enhance their experience or to alter their experience. Now for this, we'll say that they managed to actually get their hands on a ship. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go into single. We're going to go into empty once again. And we want to go with NATO. Whenever you spawn in vehicles for your team, they either need to be civilian or NATO or even FIA. Basically, they just need to be independent, friendly, or neutral civilian. If you spawn in something like CSAT, I do believe they can get into it, but it's going to appear as like an enemy on their screen all the time. It's just going to get really irritating. Again, hopefully something in the future we can do is actually change the ownership of vehicles. I know we can sort of do that, but it doesn't really work in the way that I would like to see it work. So we're actually going to spawn in some police motorboats for them. They don't actually get weapons. Now, there's a couple ways you can spawn in a vehicle. You can simply click it down in the water, and there you go. It's in the water. They can scroll on over and claim it. One of the cool things I like to do, though, sort of adds, again, a little bit more of a nice touch when you call in certain things, is sometimes they'll actually have airdrops occur. So in order to raise the height of an object, you're going to want to hold down left alt, click the object, and then drag upwards. So now that we've done that, it's actually going to deploy a parachute because it's so high off the ground that it would cause damage. And there's actually a nice little jet sound effect. So you can do this with ammo caches. I've had teams actually infiltrate through scuba, go up to an island, drop in an ammo cache. Like that was the whole plan. They had no gear to go in. Now they have their cache. Grab what they need out of there and continue to move forward. In terms of messing with objects, though, alt is one thing you want to know for raising heights. Placing things inside of buildings can be a little bit frustrating, so that alt is really going to help you kind of get that just right. Again, it takes a lot of time and practice. Hopefully in the future, Bohemia has some sort of a snap thing that we can actually turn on and off to snap items to different floors and buildings. I'm sure Zeus is going to grow a lot. If we hold shift, though, we can rotate objects. Again, it's not completely optimal. You can't really actually tell. Like, a silhouette of the ship would be nice, you know? But you get used to it, and just a little bit of messing around, you're able to rotate it, and you can call it a day. So let's just say our team goes ahead. They stroll on. We'll spawn in some blue 4, actually. Now, if you want to spawn in enemies or even friendlies like we're going to be doing here, I guess we can display this in both ways. We're going to go ahead and we can click on single units, or we can click on groups. Of course, you're going to have single units are going to have individuals that you can spawn in just one of, and then if we go to groups, we can actually spawn in multiple. So we're going to spawn in multiple. We're going to go to infantry, and we're going to spawn in a small. Actually, that's too large. I don't actually know the team types here. Let's go with the small fire team. Should be a reasonable amount. I'm not sure how many of them can actually fit in the boat, but that's alright. So now that we've spawned them in, there's a couple things we can do to actually change the way that they act. Again, whether they be enemy or friendly, this works both ways. If we go ahead and we double click on one of the units in there, we can see we increase their stealth, their skill, their skill and their health, or their armor. So we'll just put them at max skill. To be honest, I don't know that the skill thing does anything. We've messed around with it with the enemies. It could be because we're running a modified version of Zeus, but anyways, we can also change their rank again. Really has no actual point or value unless you just want to be cool about it and say that, oh, that guy's a colonel, you guys need to assassinate the colonel. One of the most important things, though, is double-clicking on the flag above the enemy or friendly here. This allows you to set their call sign, as well as their combat mode, their formation, and their current stance. So we're actually going to put these guys in stealth mode, because they're infiltrating. And we'll put them in a standard echelon left formation, and we'll leave them upstanding. Now, we can select all of them by simply dragging over them. We can then use right-click to actually navigate them across the map. But here's something very, very important that you're going to want to know for the future. This comes very helpful when we start setting up enemy patrols and things of that nature. If we go ahead and we select these guys, we have a couple different options we can actually use in terms of clicking on the map and moving them around, or clicking on the world and moving them around. So let's select them once again. Now, if we hold the control key, you'll see we see a little plus inside of our cursor here. This is going to add a waypoint for them. Now, if we go ahead and right-click, not left-click, we can actually add multiple waypoints, and they will follow the path over time. This is great for sending a team in a very, very precise manner through maybe a small town, whether they be enemy or friendly, just navigating them with a little bit more precision. Again, it doesn't always seem to work. A lot of really random bugs still consistent in Zeus. You just, it works most of the time, though. This is the first time I've actually had a bug out here, so... Now, if you want to just simply clear all those waypoints, you can just click a new move point for the team there. The other thing that is really great, again, is using what I guess you could call a constant waypoint system. So if we do Control-Alt, you'll see we now have a circle that is sort of the rotating symbol. If we right-click that, our team will now move between these 2 points here infinitely. They're basically on patrol. This is a great, again, when you're setting up enemies inside of towns, you want to make it seem more alive, more realistic when your friends actually go to push into the town. You can set up patrols. You can have vehicles patrolling the roads. Lots of really cool stuff there. But let's go ahead and get these guys into the boat. As Zeus, you can simply drag and drop units, so we're going to go ahead and place them all in the boat at once. This guy, sadly, is going to have to get left behind there. So they're... Oh, it's actually going to crash. Let's just go ahead and grab it. Basically, one of the dudes got in it and pinned the throttle. So anyways, we put the dudes in the boat, and let's say we head them on over this way. Now they've infiltrated, they're hanging out inside of this small house here. This is the objective we had to move. We moved them to. Put the fire team right back here.
On the way.
Go over there. So now we need to set up some sort of a mission, right? They need to actually have something to do. I mean, we sent them this island. Why are they here for? Are they going to attack something? What's going on? Okay, so here's the mission that I'm going to come up with here. We're going to just do a nice little small mission to start with over here in Katalaki. We'll make use of Katalaki. Now, of course, there are actual bases in the game that you can actually use. Let me point those out because they're actually very, very useful. If we go ahead and we go to groups and go to empty, you'll see we have these compositions and these military outposts. So we have guerrilla camps that we can set up. They're all different sizes. There's some small ones. For the most part, the guerrilla camps are rather tiny. See, this is one just an actual camp. Let's go ahead and delete that. We can put down Falcon, which is, again, a little bit different. This actually has a sort of mini hut in it, silo. And you can make use of those to build really quick and efficient outpost and sort of camps in the middle of nowhere. You don't always have to use a town if you want to build a guerrilla camp. I mean, for the most part, guerrillas are probably hiding somewhere in the forest. They're not hanging out inside of Katalaki here. But what we're going to do is we're going to first start by setting up a roadblock here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a hasty roadblock. Now we're going to place this down. We're going to have to rotate it, so we'll grab it and rotate it like so. Move it over this way. And let's look. We're actually just going to delete that. That didn't place properly. Again, they really need a tool. Something you can use for rotating things, like, before you actually place them on the ground. It just doesn't always work. The hasty roadblock's probably the most irritating one to set up, to be honest. So let's just grab these two, pop them over here, rotate them properly. Pop that one down there. And rotate it just one more time. There we go. We got a hasty roadblock. We'll get rid of all this stuff. That's good to go. Of course, you could set up a full-scale roadblock if you wanted to, if you choose to do so. This actually comes with a little base, a little lookout and stuff like that you could then place enemies inside of to actually attack your friends when they stroll into the town. But let's go ahead and actually start populating this with some enemies. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to use the groups feature first. We're going to go into guard infantry. And we're going to set up one of my favorite things, which is the guard patrol. Actually, guard sentry, sorry, which is simply 2 guards that you can then put on patrol. So these 2 guys here, we'll call them, see, I got to come up with 2 new names. I had some guys from DUWS. I think it was Dave and Jerry. We'll just go with Dave and Jerry again. So Dave and Jerry here, they're the night crew. They're set on patrol. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to change their combat mode to aware. Actually, we'll make them relaxed. It's really late. They're tired, man. They haven't seen any action in over 3 months. They're just fed up, and they are completely convinced that there is nothing in the area. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to select both of them. Let's rotate the map quickly. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to set up an actual patrol waypoint for them. So they're actually going to start patrolling this road. So we're going to set up multiple waypoints. And we're going to go ahead and move this one actually right there. Bring them on back down the road. And there we go. So they're actually going to patrol up the road and then down the road. Up the road and then down the road. Over and over and over until they're engaged or until they see some sort of contact or anything that decides to tell their AI to do otherwise. So let's go ahead and start placing some more dudes inside this town. Let's go ahead and pop up a guard squad. We're going to go ahead and set these guys into a aware state because they're a little bit more badass. They know that you should always be prepared. And we're going to also set them on a patrol down the road here. We'll actually set them to patrol the entire town. So we'll put a big circular path here for them. So they're going to patrol all the way around this town in a nice single file formation. Again, AI, not the strongest point inside of Arma 3's arsenal, even inside of Zeus, so you may see them start getting caught on objects, but for the most part, it works rather well. I recommend using smaller groups rather than these large guys. What you could actually do is, if you select just a couple dudes, you can actually cleave them off the end, make it a smaller squad if you wanted to do so, just to make things run a little bit more smoothly. Let's go ahead and get a motorized infantry unit up and going, though. We're going to go ahead with an HMG team. We'll park them down the road here. Now, if we actually start off, these dudes aren't going to be inside the vehicle, so we're going to want to drag them all into the vehicle. If not, the thing's going to drive around town while they're walking. It's going to take forever. So what we're also going to do is we're going to set up a patrol for them. So these guys are going to stroll down the road over this way, and then over here, and then over here, and then they're going to hit the dirt road here. And they're going to branch around the town here, and they're going to cut their way back into town. And head back to their waypoint, and then turn around and once again do another patrol. So it can get a little confusing when you start doing this. You'll start laying down all these X's everywhere, but you know, if anything goes wrong, you simply can delete the unit, put it back in the game, or again, you can click on the unit and do right click to actually give them a simple move command, which will reset all of their waypoints, and then you can start again from scratch. Often during actual battles, once your friends start engaging targets inside of a town or anywhere, wherever you may have them, things are going to get a little crazy. You may see the AI do some wonky things. You're probably going to step in, move them around, or at least reposition them so they get back on their proper patrols there. Let's go ahead and place down some single units, though. Let's give them a high-value target to go after. So we're going to go ahead and give them a team leader. He's going to be chilling out in the center of town here with all of his other goonies. We're going to go ahead and we're going to set him to aware. He's going to be standing, well, just it doesn't actually matter what stance we put him in. And then we're going to go ahead and we'll give, let's see, we'll have 2 officers also with him. Let's rotate these guys so they're facing the right way. Oops, that was a multiple selection there. Facing the right way. So they're all chilling out here. Let's go ahead. We'll give them an empty vehicle to actually be standing behind. Just a little bit of nice touch here. So we're going to want to go into CSAT for them. And go into cars. Let's see. They'll be chilling out behind an Ifrit GMG. As long as I don't kill one of them with the thing. Alright, so they're hanging out there. Now let's actually, this is just a small mission, we'll leave it like this. I got a small patrol protecting this officer who, for whatever reason, is chilling out in this town with his HMG. They went to the car wash, we'll say. Something like that. Now, how do we actually make this a mission for our friendlies, you know? I mean, apart from just telling them to go to Katalaki, what else can we do to make this seem more like a real mission, to give them some sort of waypoint to follow? Luckily, there's an objective system inside of Zeus. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to hop over to modules, we're going to go to objectives, and we're actually going to set them to a neutralized target. So we're going to say they have to neutralize the officer here. We can actually name this. We also want to make sure that we tell who the owners of this are to Zeus. So we're going to want to hit blue 4. You'll see that it actually gets larger when it's selected. So this is for blue 4. You can see we actually have some recent used ones that we can make use of. We're just going to say HVT, need to eliminate, and then we can actually description. It's already there. Neutralize the high value target. You could put anything here. You could say, go get French fries from the McDonald's down on the corner of the street, bring them back to base. You literally can do anything you want in the text. Now when we hit OK there, that will actually pop up for anyone who is on blue 4 as a player. They'll then see it on their map, they know what they have to do, they'll be able to move to that objective. Now maybe you want to give them a little bit of a heads up and let them know that, hey, you guys shouldn't move directly there. I've given you a sort of reconnaissance points over here on the beach. That is what the move objective is for. So we'll go ahead and we're going to slap this down right on the shore here. We'll say insertion point. So this is where they're going to insert into the battlefield. Again, make sure that blue 4 is selected. It is. They now have another move objective that they can actually see on the map. I'll tell them, you know, verbally, of course. There's a lot of communication that's required between Zeus and the players. Again, this is much like D&D. So I would tell them, all right, you guys are going to want to insert right along the shore here, right next to this dock. And hell, to make things even more interesting, we'll go ahead and we'll throw up another guard patrol. Actually, guard sentry. Right on the end of this dock here. We'll set them into a single file formation. We'll put them on aware because these dudes don't screw around. They're chilling out by the docks here. Let's move them right there and then set them on a patrol. So they're going to patrol up and down the docks. Our team would, for example, maybe scuba across this channel, infiltrate through scuba at night, eliminate the targets. Again, you leave the rest of that up to the team in terms of how they perform. It's really up to you. How do you want to play? Do you want to hold their hand? Do you want to be really aggressive? One of the things that we started doing recently in Arma 3 Fridays is actually giving a lot of punishment for damaging vehicles. Vehicles get damaged all the time. If you don't have a repair kit, a lot of people are like, hey Zeus, can you repair it? It's like, no, you can't. You messed it up. You guys need to find another way around. You need to hoof it, steal a civilian vehicle, do whatever you can. And of course, you can create all of those other side objectives for them, maybe on the fly. You know, the great thing about Zeus is it's very adaptive. Say I send these guys in, they get halfway to their insertion point in a vehicle, and they end up wrecking. And okay, the vehicle's done. Now they have like another 2 kilometers to walk. Well, I can make them actually walk, which, let's be honest, wouldn't actually be that fun. Or I could say, oh, you're in luck. There's a guerrilla patrol in the area. You guys should try and intercept their vehicle, take them out, kill them, eliminate their targets, and then claim the vehicle and use it to finish your transportation. A lot of different things you can do inside of Zeus to just make awesome missions on the fly. And again, you can adapt those missions based on your team's success or on their failure. For example, maybe I send them in to infiltrate this town. They fail massively. Instead of just having them respawn over and over, which I could do, I would maybe say, okay, no, you guys have to fall back. You know, it's no good. Turns out there was a lot more targets there than we thought. You need to fall back and go here. You need to get to this target, and you need to capture this radio tower that's going to allow you guys to call in an airstrike and eliminate all ground forces over at Katalaki. You then can move in and eliminate the HVT, or at least double check his body for any sort of intel. Now, in terms of small, cool things, I mean, that's the general idea of how you do things. I've shown you how to actually put down units, how to move them about the map. All of that is fine and dandy. But if you really want to start getting detailed and intricate, you're going to want to head back over to the empty tab here once again. Let's actually make it daytime as well quickly. We'll say that the mission was a success. All these dudes are now dead. Boom, they're all gone. And let's actually eliminate this last patrol. They've done well there. It's now morning and they've claimed Katalaki. So let's go ahead and change the time. It does use a 24-hour clock, so if you don't know how a 24-hour clock works, you probably want to learn. It'll be beneficial to easily changing the time. I would like to see some sort of a real-time time skip for Zeus Anywheres where it previews exactly what it's going to be like, because not everyone knows what 654 looks like. Sometimes you'd really just want to get it just so the sun is coming up, and it takes a little bit of messing around. It's nice and sunny though, and you know what, I'm not a fan of that. Nice weather makes me sad, so let's go ahead and make it rainy. You can also increase the dynamic fog that Arma uses again, which actually, you know, is based on elevation. If you want to do that and be a real a-hole, you can make it super foggy. We've done missions like that for fun, and they're not that fun. They're actually really difficult, but you know, you can do whatever you want. You're Zeus. If you feel like it's going to be a really key aspect to the mission that you're creating, go ahead and do it. Some of the small things we have over here as well, we can play music, radio messages, we can play sounds. So one of the things I like to do, I've done this actually before, was I had a team that was assaulting a small base, and it had a high-value UAV prototype inside of it. And when they breached the doors, they actually ended up engaging a target with loud weapons. So I played this sound, the alarm. I had an alarm start going off, and then I started putting all of the enemy forces inside the base actually on full combat mode, and it turned into this crazy awesome battle. So a lot of stuff you can mess with there. You can also play music. Say the team's assaulting in stealth mode, we can do something like radio silence. So you guys, it might be a little bit difficult for you to hear it, but there is music now playing. They'll hear it. You can add to the ambiance, the atmosphere of their mission type. Now, of course, we can also move things around in the map mode. Probably should have showed you guys that. So we can actually grab things directly on the map and drag them all over the place if you actually need to move something a large distance across the map, rather than, you know, maybe it's something you can't delete. You never know. Things like that actually occur. So let's see. Let's actually go over to the salt flats here so I can show you guys some of the really small hidden elements. Salt flats are a cool place for designing missions as well. You can do some really cool night ops here where you have to push across the entire length of the salt flats to assault some enemy base on the other side. But if we pop out of here, and let's go back into single and go into empty. Now, you guys may have saw when I was actually putting down objects, there's a lot of hidden stuff down here in the other section. If we click on other, we'll see we have a massive quantity of things. There's actual wrecks, so maybe we want to put a tank wreck in the middle of this giant thing. We'll put the slammer wreck down here. We can actually do that. You know, you can create cover pieces, you can create small pieces of just environment where there wasn't any before. You know, small details can just be added. Usually, if I have like a cool insertion point over on the shore, I'll put down like a wrecked vehicle and have like the gear scattered around it, because it gives them a sort of, you know, an actual point, something they can see, something that becomes a visual representation of where their gear was last, not just, you know, in the middle of nowhere, and then when they try to go back to it, it's like a nightmare. So points of interest, I guess, is what you could say. There's also tents. We can put down campfires. You know, we could say that there was a group of dudes camped out by this burning tent, some civilians. You need to go talk to them to get some information. And then one of the cool things, we actually have intel down here. So these are interactive items. The team can actually pick up these documents. So we can put down a photo here, and we can actually make it a photo of a town in Altus. So say they come here talking to the civilians know that there's a sniper in the area who's been taking out a lot of civilians, doing a lot of damage to the native military forces. So you come talk to these civilians, they say, yes, here's the Ifastonia. this is where we last saw the sniper. They give you a photo of their hometown. You pick that photo up. They then actually know if Estonia, they can go there and attempt to assassinate that target that you then give them. There's secret documents. There's regular documents. IEDs are something that I just started messing around with. I don't really think there's a good use for them inside of the game, apart from maybe blowing them up after a vehicle has passed them, for, again, just adding to the sort of cinematic touches of a mission. But yeah, it's generally just not fair. I mean, if we go ahead and we look at a dug-in IED here, I mean, you can barely see the thing, you know, and if you're strolling down the road, you're not really going to be able to spot it. But if you do want to make use of them for maybe blowing up buildings, this does actually work. Let's stick the IED right inside this tiny shack here. All you have to do is actually be clicked on it and hit end, and it'll blow up. The same thing goes for vehicles. If you have a vehicle down on the ground, let's see, we'll slap down a car. Say there's a quad bike. If you click on it, you hit end, it'll instantly explode it. So you can destroy a vehicle when your team's about to get to it and say, oh, well, it looks like the enemy planted a bomb on your vehicle. You guys better find another way. Again, a lot of tools here. You just have to spend time with them, and you'll start to come up with things in your head as to how to make them work, how to make them function well in an actual sort of, you know, setting where you have players running around the map, engaging in targets and objectives that you've created. One of the other things I should also mention, though, is creating respawns. It's not always going to be fair for your team to have to respawn way back at the main base over on that island, so you're going to want to actually create possible vehicle respawns, depending on the type of mission you're doing. Most of the people we play with aren't super die-hard Arma fans. You know, we're not here to have some crazy milsim night where once you die, it's game over. We may be doing things like that in the future in different settings, but currently we have some really large-scale missions that we're usually pulling off, and it's not fair if someone just has to sit out the next 35, 40, or 50 minutes. Again, we're just trying to have a good time. So what you can do is we can actually go ahead and click on this car here, and we can make it a respawn for Blue 4. So now that we've done that, it's actually respawn for them. They'll be able to see it as a spawn point when they die. They can then spawn in on that vehicle and, you know, continue to fight with their friends, however they would like to do that. So just a nice small touch there, you know, the ability to do that. Let's blow that up. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so what else can we take a look at here? There's so much here, as I've said, guys. A lot of this is just messing around with it. Lamppost. You know, you want to actually create a lamp at nighttime like I did over at their base. You can do that. You can slap one of these down. It'll actually go on as soon as it becomes nighttime. There's different lampposts. There's stadium lampposts, street lights, all with their own brightnesses. You want to mess around with those and see what they're all about. We have helpers, which are basically arrows to kind of help the team know where they need to go. These work sometimes in-game, and other times they don't, if I'm honest. It's kind of hit and miss. Garbage heaps. Again, just more things to add detail. Furniture, fortifications. If we scroll down to structures and military, we can actually put up entire buildings. We can have like a military cargo house here. So you can go ahead and build an entire, you know, base from scratch for your friends in the middle of nowhere if you wanted to do so. Military offices. You know, you could put down, say, like a military HQ. Have them clean, you know, clear the CQ, clear this out, capture it, make it their own. Or maybe you can do something where when they capture a certain area, they actually get to build a base. You then pop in one of these. Oh, you guys built a base. Well done. A lot of small things you can do with all of these different elements here. We have damage buildings that we can spawn in. There's another one right here we can actually do. You can actually spawn these buildings in, maybe throw CQB environments inside of them, have the team actually clear a bunch of enemies out of the buildings. And the amount of stuff you can do with Zeus is absolutely staggering. I mean, you can tell I've been talking about it for over 30 minutes now. And there's still more that I could show you. I mean, we have all the different ships, submarines. You can start messing with the Independent. Again, a lot of this is just going to take learning. But the real thing is to just figure out where everything actually is to begin with, and how to do the small things like patrols and things like that I've said. Of course, one of the big things is Zeus, though. I've showed you guys this in the past, is being able to take control of AI units. If we go ahead and we click on remote control here, we can actually then click this onto an AI unit, spawn in as them, use it to maybe actually engage their friends as the enemy. Maybe you decide you want to take the role of a sniper, take pot shots at them, or actually try and kill them and punish them for not knowing where they were. I've done things where I've had them try and capture an unarmed HVT, and I've actually taken control of the HVT and snuck out of the back of the base, and I actually ran across the salt flats the other night, right past them in the dark, and they didn't see me, and I felt kind of bad, so I ended up caving in and saying, oh, you know, guys, that HVT he's running away. You better go find him. And they had to chase him down in the, the vehicle, and I'll actually take control of the HVT then and, do a voice. A lot of cool stuff you can do with Zeus. It's actually really fun. It goes a lot further than just making missions that your friends can just do on their own. You can really get into the role-playing aspect of it. Myself and our marketing manager, Hells, have done quite a bit of that, actually doing character voices and playing as doctors and things like that and making them actually try and get information out of us. There's a ton of really cool stuff here inside of Zeus. Now, moving forward, guys, I'm going to try and get more Zeus footage. Actually, maybe my perspective as Zeus. I think you guys might enjoy that. It's just something that I haven't decided quite how to do yet, because those missions, those matches, those Friday nights of Arma go well beyond 4 hours sometimes. But again, if you guys are interested in checking them out, I'll have that forum post linked in the description below. Head over to the forums, sign up for the Tactical Advance forums. It's completely free, obviously, no obligation. Read that post, get ready, come into TeamSpeak, get involved with Arma 3 Fridays. Really great fun. The more people we have, the merrier, to be honest. And it doesn't matter what skill level you are. If you suck at Arma, that's fine. If you're fantastic at Arma, that's fine. You know, we're just looking to have a good time and make the best use we can of this wonderful, wonderful system that Bohemia has created. If you guys have any further questions for me about Zeus, how it functions, or even some small things that you may like to know, or, you know, just how to do, feel free to ask me in the comment section below, and I'll try and answer them as best as I can. It's been Tony Mo, and I'll see you guys on the battlefield.